Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, I'm your boy Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, and it's Sunday, which means I haven't had a shower in a few days. Hashtag too married to care about how bad my hair looks. Today I want to talk about, ultimately, what a lot of us don't want to talk about, and I believe that all of us should talk about it. It sounds very lame, but it's time for us to get to it, and that's feelings. Feelings at the heart of everything that I'm about to talk about when it comes to sexism, homosexual issues, trans rights, and being alive, especially being in tech. Okay, so where should I start with this? A lot of people are getting their feelings hurt these days. A lot of people are getting their feelings hurt, and it can be so difficult to talk to some people in the trans gay community, because you gotta be real careful about how you talk to them. Because man, if you say the wrong thing, you can set them off so easy. It's amazing. I've done it unintentionally. I didn't mean to, but oh man, but anyways, which is kind of what got me thinking about all this thing. What it got me thinking about emotions, feelings. Let's face it, guys have a lot of emotions. Guys look at the void as much as some other people do. Guys have depression, but they have to carry it. They have to put it on their back, and they have to go with it, and they can't talk to anyone about it. That's the rules. They didn't make the rules, but that's what they were taught, and that's what we go along with. I see so many people in the day-to-day life that just talk, and if you just freaking listen to them, you can see it's like they have a thread. It's like they have a thread that's coming off their shirt, and if you pull the thread, the whole fucking shirt will fall apart. So many people in need of help out there that are literally having issues. And the thing is, not everyone is created equally. So an issue that you have will absolutely cripple somebody else. We're not created equal. You are absolutely not. And if anyone thinks we are, then geez, you're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Everything affects us differently. Again, so some people would be totally able to live without a father. I don't even know how they do it, but totally able to live without it. And some other people just couldn't handle it. Once again, we're not all the same people. There are men out there who are conservative, white, that are carrying unbelievable things on themselves. Some that are facing depression. Everybody faces depression. All that depression is, all that suicidal thoughts are, is when your ability to deal with negative things is less than than the negative things you have. You know, your life could suck, but hey, if you won the lottery, that could help things out a little bit. Let's face it, money can solve almost any problem. But at the same time, if you didn't win the lottery, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff you're drowning in, and that can affect you quite a bit. Now, I have offended actually, I've offended a few people in the gay community recently, not meaning to. On one individual, I left a comment. I left a comment asking if they had their feelings hurt by a video, and they turned into a monster. They turned into an absolute monster. They went to my YouTube channel and started leaving hate spam, the nastiest stuff you ever seen, calling me an idiot, and in a video where I say my daughter's brain damaged, and in the comment section where I say my daughter has brain damage, he says, well, I hope your daughter didn't inherit your stupidity. Whoa, 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 okay, okay, I told the guy too, I have learning disabilities. I have a disabled daughter, and you're making fun of her. That's really insensitive. That would really hurt my feelings if I was sensitive about it. It's a good thing that we're not talking about gay rights, and that we're only talking about disabled people. The whole conversation was actually about gay rights, and I was defending someone's reasonable view on something. And now, as soon as someone like me says reasonable view, the people at the far left are like, this guy's a member of the KKK. My viewpoints haven't changed since I was defending homosexuals in the hallway of my high school. My views have not changed one little bit. But everyone is going so far left, so crazily, that I am now considered to be on the right. I voted liberal. I don't like what the liberals are doing, but I voted liberal because honestly, with all the great things that the liberal has been doing for the proletarian, let's say, my wife has been able to stay at home, which has definitely benefited my child. And that's another thing I think we should look at, as our ability to be happy has to do with what we have to come home to. And it is so nice to have a stay-at-home mom, to have a stay-at-home person. I grew up, excuse me, I grew up as a latchkey kid, and I didn't have much direction, and I really wish I did. Now, I didn't, it's not that, I think people without parents could kind of understand this. It's not that, it's not that I didn't have a good life. It's just that it's like they never had any time for me. I don't even know how single parents do it. Anyways, they just didn't have time because they had careers, right? Well, I'm trying something where I have a stay-at-home mom so that my kid can hopefully have a more social, more stable life than me. And that way I can have a happier home life. I might not be financially great, but still. Anyways, oh my goodness, just so much going on. But anyways, pulling threads on depressed people. We all have problems, and there's a void out there that we all want to avoid. We don't want to look into the void, because as soon as you look into the void looks into you. But it's like, as human beings, we have to. And where we are right now, we are the 1% out of anyone. Like in North America, we are number 1% compared to any of our forefathers. They lived through hell. Our forefathers lived through hell. Even within the last 100 years, when I hear about how the poorhouses were run locally, it just breaks my heart. You have blacksmiths that broke their leg or something, and they just couldn't frickin' work. That's it. They don't have any money. That's it. So we look after each other a lot better. But anyways, the final frontier of health, I do believe, is mental health. It's mental health, and we all have problems. Now, we got a lot of people within the homosexual community, with the feminists all acting as if the world owes them something because they're not in tech, and that gets a little bit upsetting to me because okay, now, side story here, okay? I'm a freak. I'm a freak and a geek. I come from a very small town. The things I'm interested in, nobody is interested in around me. If I want to see what I consider to be the real world, I have to get it through a computer, and I have no means to get myself into a situation where half the people in a room will understand the stuff I'm talking about. Meanwhile, if you put me into any major city in the USA, bam, hey, no problem. So I'd like to say that I'm not a bad individual. I don't have a criminal record. I don't mess with anybody, right? So hey, I'm good. I'm not messing with anyone, right? This is my thing. This is what I do to reach out to my people. I identify as a person who just isn't like anybody around me. And it can be difficult for me in every circle, even in the circles with the homosexual people. Like, you don't like what I like? You don't like what, well, we can't identify with you then. You like 90s, you like early 90s steampunk anime? That doesn't identify as us. And then we got situations where people are taking their religion and melding it with their sexual identity, taking their lifestyle and melding it with their sexual identity. And it's just getting really far out there. And then you can't even say it's getting really far out there because it hurts their feelings. Well, you know what kind of hurt my feelings back in the day? When all my friends told me that my internet friends weren't really real because they were on the internet. I still have some of those internet friends. I don't have the real friends. See, what I'm saying here is homosexual people can be just as bad, just as ugly to the lower class as anybody else. Now, I don't believe in classes. I don't believe in that system at all. But I see other people, and they have this system as who's a better human being than you. And back in high school, I could see it wasn't about what you knew. It was about who you knew. And as I'm going through life, I'm seeing that more and more and more. It's not the merit of your character. It's who you hang out with. It's who you party with. And who trusts you. And who knows what you can do. And geez, all that stuff put together, I'm just some guy in the basement. Oh geez, let's say I'm disabled because I live in my basement and all my friends are on the computer. You know what? That's a disability. I identify as that. So you know what? I got issues too. We all have issues. That's one thing, unfortunately, I don't think the homosexual community, the women's right community, knows about. We have a whole selection of men that have been totally emancipated, that have been totally taken their gender because of what we're watching on TV. I'm the kind of guy that watched TV all the time, and TV was made with a lot okay, even media. You have the official comic code. You have people coming in to change things to make sure that all the cartoons are good. So we had the right people putting the right information on those cartoons that were more designed to sell us toys than teach us stuff, but they had to teach us stuff, right? So we have this information ingrained to us. And my generation, for the most part, we didn't want to be dicks. There's a lot of guys out there who just want to be reasonable. But you know what? Just because we're white, not so much, not so much. So now I want to talk a little bit about feminists being all offended that there aren't any females in that there aren't any females in tech studies. Now, I'm going to put this right down the line that this is offensive. As a computer guy, as someone who could only express myself and understand the world through a computer, as someone who identifies myself as that is unfortunate, because when I was learning about this stuff, I was not getting laid. And not only was I not getting laid, but these women would see this stuff I was learning and be like, this isn't attractive. I don't like these people. They're just geeks. I don't like geeks. Geeks weren't popular until just recently. And it's like all of a sudden being a geek is really popular. Hey, that's good. But for the last 20 years, it was really difficult to be a geek. You know what? That sounds a lot like another community. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, all of a sudden it's okay to be homosexual. All of a sudden it's okay to be a geek. And now all of a sudden the homosexuals are looking at the geeks and being like, why aren't there more of us in your crew? And we're like, you gotta come with us. We don't mind. This stuff's boring. We were just here because this is what we were doing in our basements. Well, I don't know. Were you guys partying? Were you guys discoing? I don't know. I didn't disco. I didn't party. But I did have the skills to pay the bills, kind of thing, because I was spending all my time in my basement. My girlfriend was on the internet, and I was just happy with that. Was I a bad person? No. Was I elevated to being a better human being? No, definitely not. Because back then, I don't know, what were the homosexuals doing back then? Either being repressed or partying? Well, hey, we're repressed too. We're like two of the same, come on in. Come on in, all y'all. We'll have you here. Our basements are dark. And you know what? We know that you're not going to take shots at us. We're comfortable around you. Hey, no problem. Bring it on in. But don't get offended if we call you the F word, because we call each other and ourselves that all the time. Seriously, which is another thing I got to touch on, the F word. And when I say this, I'm probably going to get demonetized. Fag. Fag is a word that has many meanings. There are many meanings for many words. If you get a dictionary from 50 years, every 50 years, back 50 years in the past, and look up what marriage is, to give you a good idea of how the definition of words change, and that's just the way it goes, okay? Bam, bam, marriage changes. It's like man owns woman, equal, and then, whatever it is these days, God bless them, whatever you want it to be. But it was like, yeah, man and woman, and all of a sudden, it's anyone. Like, again, God bless us. We got this. We got this on lockdown. We're changing this stuff. But that's the thing. We're changing, and change is a chaotic that constantly exists. We're changing the F word. These days, when I call someone a fag, I am calling them a friend for the most part, or a guy. And there definitely are multiple uses for it. Anyways, geez, I think I almost got all of that out. I think that computer people should definitely be given, I don't like feminists coming out and saying this is all your fault, guys, because those feminists, like, I'm talking feminists now, I'm not talking homosexuals. Homosexuals, right on, high five, good job, guys. You keep up, you keep doing what you do, because I don't think homosexuals have ever had a problem in the tech scene. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure a homosexual would never have a problem getting a job because they're a homosexual in the tech. We're all freaking weird in the tech scene. Every tech is weird. Bring them on in, I feel right on. But feminists, feminists are different. Feminists are a very different thing. They come down. These days, third wave feminists I'm talking, come down like a superhero jump out of orbit and get their mech suits up and they're like, oppressive patriarchy. And it doesn't matter who you are, you're oppressive patriarchy. Doesn't matter what you did in high school, doesn't matter how many rallies you offended, oppressive patriarchy. And oh man, it's like so many of them are like, oh, my life is so hard. Life was so hard for me, and because life was so hard for me, I need to be really angry all the time. Oh, look at it. Just, and then they're like, why are there no women in the tech studies? Because you were off being crazy with the guy you eventually hated enough to become a feminist? Did he do things to you? Why are you so angry? Why are you angry at me? This is the wrong industry to be complaining about that stuff about. You want equal representation in all industries? Well, why don't you try to be bricklayers? Why don't you get into carpentry? There are a million things that you could get into, but you're going to be complaining about tech because what? Is this an office job? Is it a really good job now? All of a sudden you want this? These are the same women. These are the same women, literally. This literally is a situation in my life right now. Literally is a situation in my life where there's a feminist being this way. And this feminist, while I was in my basement learning shit, she was out getting drunk. She was out partying. She was out having the time of her life. I'm not going to get any further into that. It would help the story, but I like her so much I'm not even going to... It's not my story. But ultimately, just don't frickin' blame the tech guy. We all have problems. LBGQ, yeah, frick, man. If you're going to change the parts that you were given, oh man, like let's talk about trans people, pre, post, op, man. There's such a high suicide rate and all that. It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's like they're literally in a situation where life is on hard mode. Not even hard mode. Jeez, my hair is so horrible. Sorry. Anyways, not even hard mode, but insane mode. And it's like a lot of them are just being born and just walk this line right into a blender because their life is so hard. So many suicide rates before or after. It's like if you were born in that situation, then your life is automatically devastating and horrible. So don't ever get me wrong. If I'm like there are definitely three different things. You get your trans people, your homosexuals, and then you get your feminists, and then whatever under that tree. But as far as I've been able to identify so far, and I'm really trying, because again, things change, everything changes. You got to learn. Society changes. The dictionary is going to change. The definition of a dictionary is going to change. The words, okay, and you got to be progressive, and you got to be in on this stuff. But I'm seeing three very different types of people within this group, and then the rainbow underneath, basically. And she's beautiful, but just don't be taking it out on the tech guy. We all have problems. We all have problems. I mean, literally, there's a lot of people that act like they're the only people that have ever had a problem. But I'm telling you, I've gone up to some pretty big people that seem pretty strong and pulled a thread and found a story so heartbreaking that it would make you shut your mouth pretty quick. It would make you shut your mouth pretty quick before you said anything about them. So one thing I definitely want to get at the end of this is most of us have looked into the void. And I want to talk about the void for a second. The void is this very useless place. The void is nothing. The best I've ever heard of it being described is when you're looking into the void, your lover, your wife, tells you your wife of 20 years tells you she's been cheating on you. You're a perfect guy, but she's been cheating on you. That pulls the ground right out from under you. That is the chaos. She says you've been doing everything right. There was nothing you could have done except for telling her not to visit male friends. You can't say that shit, right? You can't say that. Except for watching her. There was nothing you could have done. And it's like the floor is pulled out from under you. And it's just chaos. And the only picture I've ever seen been able to describe it is in DC Comics. There was two universes. Universe 1, which was the old Superman stories, and Universe 2, sorry, the other way around, which was the new Superman stories. Well, while Superman was away, Well, the old school Superman was away. His universe was destroyed, and he comes back looking for Lois, looking for his life, looking for everything. And there's just a giant, swirling black cloud. Nothing. And that's what it's like to look into the void. Hopeless, meaningless. And you know, some people, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some people would hear that and they'd be just fine with it. But me, myself, I would be totally devastated if I found out something like that. It would shell shock me. You know what? Looking out into the void, maybe shell shocking is a good way to look out at the void. Fucking World War I, World War II people just sitting, hunkering down, wondering if they'll ever see their loved ones again as the shells come down. Sorry, that is one big thing that I needed to add to this story. We are doing so much better than anybody before us. We are in a situation where we are privileged. We're privileged to be. We are privileged to have the ability to worry about our feelings. We can understand our bodies enough that we know that there's shit going on in the mind. And that we need to understand that better. We are there now, this generation. Now it's time that we started worrying more about other people's heads, about other people's issues. Because there are a lot of people out there with a lot of issues. There are a lot of people out there in the military, for example, fighting the battles. Fighting the battles against serious monsters, like monsters that none of us will ever really see. And they get into their heads. You have to become a monster to fight with the monsters. And some of these guys are the most racist people you'll ever meet. Some of them will never hurt a hair on the head of anybody else, but they'll have that personality. They won't do anything to stop homosexuals, but they won't believe it's real. Or they won't think, okay, you know what, in the Bible, it's really clear. In the Bible, it's really clear, homosexuality, New Testament, Old Testament. New Testament, it's in Romans, Old Testament, it's in Exodus, that you can't do it, okay? So you get people out there who are good people that have decided to follow the mind trap of Christianity, whatever you want to call it, okay? They're happy, they're good people, every other day, but they can't agree to that marriage in their church. But they would defend your right as a free individual. That person, while they don't believe everything that a homosexual, a feminist, whatever, would say, that they don't believe that stuff, still deserves the same treatment, still deserves the mental health that anyone else would deserve. So what I'm trying to get at is we're at the point where we can start worrying about what's going on in our heads. And we should start worrying about what's going on in our heads. And we should start looking out for each other more. And America, y'all behind the 8 ball when it comes to this health stuff. You can't have your guns and no mental health at the same time. It's not working. We've been here for too long. We're too good at making things. We've made so many guns. We've flooded the markets out everywhere. And now we have so many people all over the place and they're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and they got guns all over the place. Like, come on, figure it out. Figure it out. But we all have issues. Some of our issues make real monsters out of us. But the further we get, the further that we face down this chaos, the further we get out there and become responsible and fight this shit, the further that the next generation will be, the better people that will be. Eventually we're all going to be dust and everyone's going to have forgotten about us. So in the end, all that matters is how far we have moved society forward. How far we've moved it towards the future and in what direction. Even if it's in the wrong direction, but it's still proceeding, that's something. Unless it's horribly cancerous. I mean horribly. Like, let's face it. America, Canada, we got problems. America's got a lot of problems. Would you want to live anywhere else? And if you are living in America or Canada and you can't stand it, feel free and go take a look. See what's out there. I think you'll be coming back pretty quickly. Anyways, I think that's it for me. If you've stayed this long, thanks for listening. But really, guys, we got to take care of each other. We really got to start taking care of each other. We have to be reasonably responsible, and we got to do our due diligence. We got to help people who have issues. And those people who have issues have to be prepared to deal with them and can't just be disabled by them forever. Anyways, that's it from me. Have a good one, folks, and as always, take care of each other. Catch you later.